Where's Jessica? My Aunt Linda's voice echoed through the crowded living room on Christmas morning, loud enough for everyone to hear her disappointment. Don't tell me she's still pouting about not getting her way with the vacation planning? Some people never grow up. The laughter that followed was sharp and knowing, the kind that happens when families gather to discuss the member who isn't there to defend herself. What they didn't know was that I wasn't pouting in my apartment across town. I was sitting in a production trailer in Times Square, coordinating the most watched New Year's Eve celebration in the world. And in 6 days, when a million people looked up at the sky and saw my name blazing across Manhattan in letters 50 feet tall, my family would finally understand why I'd chosen work over their Christmas judgment. Hit that like button if you've ever been called selfish for pursuing opportunities that others couldn't see the value in. This story's about the moment when your biggest critics become your loudest supporters. My name is Jessica Martinez. I'm 32 years old, and I've spent the last 7 years building a career in event production, while my family treated every professional opportunity like a personal attack on family traditions. What they saw as selfish ambition, I knew was the work that would define my entire future. The Martinez family had built our identity around elaborate holiday celebrations that required every family member's participation to feel complete. Christmas wasn't just a day, it was a 3-week production that began with Thanksgiving planning and extended through New Year's Day cleanup. Our parents, Carlos and Elena Martinez, had created holiday traditions that demanded total family commitment and treated any deviation as betrayal of family values. Every Christmas Eve, we gathered at my parents' house in Riverside for a dinner that fed 37 relatives across 4 generations. Christmas morning required everyone's presence for gift exchanges that were carefully orchestrated and photographed for the family albums that documented our commitment to maintaining multi-generational traditions. Christmas afternoon included extended family visits that involved traveling to 3 different relatives' homes for additional celebrations that lasted until late evening. The day after Christmas meant helping with cleanup, organizing leftover food distribution among relatives, and planning New Year's Eve activities that would extend our family celebration through the first week of January. Any family member who missed any portion of this extended celebration was viewed as selfish, ungrateful, or insufficiently committed to maintaining the family bonds that defined our cultural identity. My older sister Maria, 35, had built her adult life around accommodating these family expectations completely. She worked as an elementary school teacher with a schedule that aligned perfectly with holiday breaks, allowing her to participate fully in every family celebration without professional conflicts. Her husband David was equally accommodating, using his vacation days from his accounting job to ensure their family could meet every obligation our parents had established. My younger brother Carlos Jr., 28, had chosen a career in construction specifically because it offered scheduling flexibility during holiday periods. He'd turned down opportunities for advancement that would have required travel during family celebration periods, prioritizing family obligations over professional growth consistently. My twin cousins Anna and Sophia, both 30, had moved back to Riverside after college, specifically to remain close to family and participate fully in our elaborate holiday traditions. They worked for local businesses that understood the importance of family commitments and allowed flexible scheduling during celebration periods. Then there was me, the daughter who'd moved to Los Angeles after college to pursue a career in entertainment production, a field that operated at maximum intensity during exactly the periods when my family expected my total availability for celebrations. Event production doesn't pause for holidays. In fact, holidays are when our industry works hardest, because holiday celebrations, New Year's Eve parties, and special events generate the majority of our annual revenue. December and January are the months when event producers establish their reputations, build their professional networks, and prove their value to clients, who demand flawless execution during high-stakes celebrations. My career trajectory had taken me from production assistant on small corporate events, to project manager for major entertainment productions, to senior producer for television specials that reached audiences of millions. Each advancement required sacrificing personal time during holiday periods, but each sacrifice also positioned me for opportunities that could transform my entire professional future. The conflict between family expectations and professional advancement had been building for 7 years. Every December brought increasingly difficult conversations about my priorities, my commitment to family values, and my apparent willingness to put career ambition ahead of the relationships that should matter most to me. Jessica's job is becoming more important to her than her family, became Mom's standard explanation when relatives asked why I wasn't present for various holiday celebrations. She's gotten caught up in that Hollywood lifestyle where work comes before everything else. The Hollywood lifestyle she referenced was actually 12-hour days in production trailers, coordinating logistics for events required months of planning and flawless execution. My glamorous entertainment career involved managing budgets, coordinating vendors, troubleshooting equipment failures, and ensuring that complex productions delivered exactly what clients had contracted for. But my family's perception of my work was influenced by media stereotypes about the entertainment industry rather than understanding of what event production actually required. They imagined parties and celebrity encounters rather than the detailed project management that made large-scale events successful. The tensions reached crisis level last Christmas, when I'd been forced to miss Christmas Eve dinner because of a last-minute crisis with a New Year's Eve production that required immediate attention. A major technical failure had threatened to derail an event that would be broadcast to 12 countries, and my expertise was essential for developing solutions that would save the production. Jessica chose work over family, Dad announced to the 36 relatives who attended Christmas Eve dinner in my absence. She's lost sight of what really matters in life. The judgment hurt not just because it mischaracterized my priorities, but because it revealed how little my family understood about professional responsibilities and career development. Missing Christmas Eve wasn't a choice between work and family. It was a choice between fulfilling professional obligations that could impact my entire future career and attending a family dinner that happened every year. But explaining professional responsibility to relatives who viewed any work during holidays as evidence of misplaced priorities felt futile. They measured commitment by physical presence at celebrations, rather than by the sacrifices required to build something meaningful professionally. This year's conflict began in October, when I received the offer that would define my entire career trajectory. Jessica, congratulations. You've been selected as executive producer for the Times Square New Year's Eve celebration, my boss David Chen announced during a meeting that I'd anticipated would be routine project review. This is the most watched New Year's Eve event in the world, with over 200 million viewers globally and a production budget of $15 million. I nearly dropped my coffee. Executive producer for Times Square New Year's Eve was the kind of opportunity that established careers permanently. The position would put my name on credits that would be seen by more people than any other event production in television history. The challenge is timeline and commitment level, David continued. You'll need to be in New York for the entire month of December, managing setup, rehearsals, and live broadcast preparation. New Year's Eve itself will be a 72-hour production marathon that requires your complete attention from December 30th through January 2nd. Complete attention from December 30th through January 2nd meant missing not only Christmas celebrations, but also the New Year's Eve family gathering that concluded our extended holiday season. It meant being unavailable for the family traditions that my parents had built their identity around, and that my siblings had organized their adult lives to accommodate. David, this is an incredible opportunity, but I need to discuss family obligations with Jessica. Let me be direct about something. This position will establish you as one of the leading event producers in the entertainment industry. Your name will be associated with the most prestigious New Year's celebration in the world. The professional opportunities that follow from this credit will define your entire career trajectory. He was right. Executive producer credit on Times Square New Year's Eve would open doors that might otherwise remain closed for decades. It was the kind of breakthrough opportunity that careers are built around, the credit that would distinguish me from thousands of other event producers competing for high-profile projects. I need 48 hours to make arrangements with my family and confirm my availability, I told David, already knowing that my family would view this opportunity as final proof that I'd chosen career over relationships. The conversation with my parents was exactly as difficult as I'd anticipated. Jessica, this is Christmas we're talking about. Christmas with your family. The celebration we've been planning for 3 months and that 38 relatives have arranged their schedules around. Mom, this is the most important professional opportunity I've ever been offered. Executive producer for the Times Square New Year's Eve celebration is a once-in-a-lifetime career breakthrough. And Christmas with your family is a once-a-year opportunity to maintain the relationships that will matter long after your job is over, Dad interjected from the extension phone. Jobs come and go, Jessica. Family is permanent. The conversation that followed covered familiar ground about priorities, values, and the importance of maintaining family connections that had sustained our family through previous generations. But this time, the stakes were higher, because the professional opportunity was genuinely transformative, and the family celebration was the same annual gathering that happened regardless of my presence. Jessica, if you choose this job over Christmas, you're sending a message about what matters to you, Mom concluded. And that message is that your career is more important than your family. Mom, I'm sending a message that I'm committed to building something meaningful professionally, just like Dad built his business and you built your career as a nurse. This opportunity could define my entire future. Your future should include your family, not exclude us for professional convenience. The ultimatum was subtle but unmistakable. Choose the family celebration or accept that my decision will be interpreted as rejection of family values and commitment to relationships that had shaped my identity for 32 years. I accepted the Times Square position the next day. The reaction from my extended family was swift and unanimously negative. Phone calls, text messages, and social media posts expressed disappointment, confusion, and criticism of my decision to prioritize career advancement over family loyalty. Jessica's forgotten where she comes from, Aunt Linda posted on Facebook along with photos from previous Christmas celebrations that prominently featured my absence. Success means nothing if you abandon the people who supported you. Cousin Miguel called to express his confusion about my priorities. Jess, it's just one job. There will be other opportunities, but there's only one Christmas with the family this year. My siblings were more direct in their criticism. Maria called to tell me that my absence would ruin Christmas for everyone because our family celebrations required complete participation to feel meaningful. Carlos Jr. texted that I was being selfish and ungrateful for choosing work over the family that had always supported my dreams. The criticism stung because it mischaracterized both my decision and my commitment to family relationships. I wasn't choosing work over family. I was choosing a career-defining opportunity that required temporary sacrifice of family celebration attendance. The family would celebrate Christmas regardless of my presence, but the Times Square opportunity was unique and time-sensitive. But explaining professional priorities to relatives who had never faced similar career decisions felt increasingly futile. They measured love and commitment by physical presence at celebrations, rather than by the long-term sacrifices required to build something professionally meaningful. I moved to New York in late November to begin production planning for the most complex event management challenge of my career. Times Square New Year's Eve involves coordinating hundreds of performers, managing technical systems that must function flawlessly in freezing temperatures, accommodating millions of spectators who gather throughout the day, and delivering live television that reaches global audiences expecting perfection. My responsibilities included managing a production team of 200 people, coordinating with New York City officials for security and crowd control, overseeing technical installations that began in early December, and ensuring that every aspect of the celebration met the exacting standards required for live international television. The work was simultaneously the most challenging and most rewarding of my career. Every day brought problems that required creative solutions, decisions that affected millions of viewers, and coordination challenges that demanded expertise I'd been building for 7 years. But the professional satisfaction was overshadowed by the ongoing family conflict about my priorities and commitment. Daily text messages from relatives expressed disappointment about my absence from Christmas planning activities. Social media posts from family celebrations prominently highlighted my absence, and included comments about family members who had abandoned their roots for professional ambition. Christmas morning brought the most painful reminder of the cost of my professional choice. While I was in the Times Square production office reviewing technical specifications for New Year's Eve broadcast equipment, my family was gathered for their traditional gift exchange and celebration that involved 37 relatives, continued the multi-generational traditions that defined their cultural identity. The photos posted throughout the day showed exactly the celebration I'd missed. Extended family members gathered around our parents' Christmas tree, children opening gifts with grandparents watching proudly, elaborate meals shared by relatives who had traveled significant distances to maintain family connections. But the photo captions told a different story about my absence and its impact on family dynamics. Almost the whole family together for Christmas, Maria posted alongside a group photo that prominently displayed my absence. Some people couldn't be bothered to show up. Family time is the most important time, Anna posted with pictures of cousins and aunts gathered around the dinner table. Too bad not everyone understands what really matters. The comments that followed these posts were uniformly critical of my decision to prioritize work over family celebration. Relatives who barely knew me offered opinions about my values and character based entirely on my absence from Christmas gathering. Jessica's career has gone to her head, commented a cousin I hadn't seen in 3 years. She thinks she's too good for family now. Hollywood changes people, added an aunt who had never visited me in Los Angeles or asked about my actual work responsibilities. Jessica used to care about family before she got caught up in that lifestyle. The criticism was particularly painful because it was based on assumptions about my priorities rather than understanding of my professional responsibilities. My family was interpreting my absence as indifference to relationships, rather than recognition of a career opportunity that required temporary sacrifice for long-term benefit. But December 31st would bring vindication that none of them could have anticipated. The Times Square New Year's Eve production was the culmination of 2 months of planning, coordination, and problem-solving that had challenged every aspect of my professional expertise. By December 30th, we had successfully installed technical systems, coordinated performer rehearsals, established crowd control protocols, and prepared for live television broadcast that would reach over 200 million viewers worldwide. My role as executive producer required me to oversee every aspect of the celebration, while managing real-time problems that arose during the live broadcast. From 6 p.m. on December 31st through 2 a.m. on January 1st, I would be responsible for delivering flawless television that met the expectations of audiences across 12 countries. But the most meaningful moment of the entire production would occur at exactly midnight, when the ball drop concluded and the celebration reached its climactic moment. Jessica, we have a special surprise planned for the conclusion of the broadcast, David Chen told me during our final production meeting on December 31st afternoon. After the ball drop and the midnight celebration, we're doing a custom fireworks display that will include credits for the production team. Custom fireworks displays were rare and expensive, typically reserved for the most prestigious productions. Having my name included in a fireworks display that would be seen by hundreds of millions of people worldwide represented recognition that transcended typical production credits. The fireworks will spell out executive producer Jessica Martinez in letters that are 50 feet tall and visible from anywhere in Manhattan, David explained. It's our way of recognizing the exceptional work you've done bringing this production together. 50 feet tall across the Manhattan skyline. My name in letters that would be visible to the million people gathered in Times Square and broadcast to audiences around the world. Recognition that would establish my professional reputation permanently and demonstrate the significance of the opportunity I'd accepted by missing Christmas with my family. The New Year's Eve broadcast proceeded flawlessly. Performers hit their marks, technical systems functioned perfectly, and the live television delivery met every expectation for quality and entertainment value. As executive producer, I coordinated real-time decisions that ensured smooth transitions, managed unexpected challenges, and delivered exactly what our global audience expected from the most watched New Year's celebration in the world. At 11:59 p.m., the ball drop began its descent, as millions of people counted down to midnight. The energy in Times Square was electric, with spectators who had been standing in freezing temperatures for over 12 hours, finally reaching the moment they had traveled from around the world to witness. At exactly midnight, the ball completed its descent, confetti filled the air, and Auld Lang Syne began playing as couples kissed and strangers embraced to celebrate the beginning of a new year. And then, at 12:03 a.m., the custom fireworks display began. The first burst spelled out Times Square, New Year's Eve, 2024, in letters that dominated the Manhattan skyline. The second burst displayed executive producer in blazing gold letters that reflected off every building in the surrounding blocks. The third burst spelled out my name, Jessica Martinez, in letters 50 feet tall that burned across the sky above one of the most famous locations in the world. For 30 seconds my name blazed above Manhattan while millions of people looked up at recognition that established my professional reputation permanently. The moment was captured by hundreds of television cameras and broadcast to audiences across 12 countries, creating a permanent record of achievement that represented the culmination of 7 years of career building. But the moment that mattered most to me happened 2,400 miles away in Riverside, California. My family was gathered for their traditional New Year's Eve celebration, watching the Times Square broadcast on television like millions of other families across the country. They were expecting to see the familiar ball drop and midnight celebration that concluded their extended holiday season. What they saw instead was their daughter's name burning across the Manhattan skyline, in letters that dominated one of the most famous city views in the world. The phone calls began immediately. "Jessica!" Mom's voice was breathless with excitement and what sounded like tears. "We just saw your name in the fireworks. 50 feet tall over New York City. I can't believe. How is this possible? Mom, this is what I've been working toward for 7 years." Executive producer for Times Square, New Year's Eve, is the most prestigious credit in event production. The fireworks were the network's way of recognizing the work I did bringing this production together. "Your name was on television for the whole world to see," Dad added from the extension phone, his voice carrying a mixture of amazement, and what might have been pride. "Jessica, hundreds of millions of people just saw your name in fireworks over Manhattan." The conversation that followed was completely different from every discussion we'd had about my career choices and professional priorities. For the first time, my parents could see the scope and significance of the opportunities I'd been pursuing while they'd been questioning my commitment to family relationships. "Jessica, I owe you an apology," Dad said during our long phone conversation that continued until almost 2 a.m. "I've been treating your career like a hobby that was keeping you away from family. I didn't understand that you were building something this important." "Dad," I tried to explain the significance of different opportunities, but they seemed abstract until you could see the results concretely. "Having your name in fireworks over New York City isn't abstract," Mom interjected. "This is recognition that millions of people witnessed. This is the kind of achievement that changes your entire career." The conversation continued with my parents asking detailed questions about event production, about my responsibilities as executive producer, and about the career opportunities that would follow from this level of professional recognition. "Jessica, what happens next?" Dad asked. "What kind of opportunities become available when you have this credit on your resume?" "Dad, this opens doors to positions I couldn't have accessed before. Network television specials, major corporate events, international productions. Executive producer for Times Square New Year's Eve establishes me as one of the leading event producers in the entertainment industry." The rest of my family's reaction was equally transformative. Text messages throughout January 1st expressed amazement, pride, and apologies for not understanding the significance of the opportunity I'd been pursuing. "Jess, I just Googled Times Square New Year's Eve executive producer, and there are articles about your work in major newspapers," Maria texted. "I had no idea this was such an important position. I'm sorry I called you selfish for taking this job." Carlos Jr. called to apologize for his criticism and to ask questions about my career path. "Jess, I didn't understand what event production involved or why this opportunity was so significant. Seeing your name in fireworks above Manhattan made it real for me." Extended family members who had criticized my absence from Christmas posted congratulatory messages on social media that included screenshots of my fireworks credit and expressions of pride in having a family member achieve such prominent recognition. Our niece Jessica Martinez, executive producer for Times Square New Year's Eve, Aunt Linda posted alongside footage of the fireworks display. "We're so proud of Jessica's incredible achievement and so grateful to have such a talented family member." The transformation from criticism to celebration was complete and immediate. The same relatives who had questioned my priorities and commitment to family values were now sharing news of my professional achievement and expressing pride in my career success. But the most meaningful response came from my younger cousins who were beginning their own careers and facing decisions about professional advancement versus family expectations. "Jessica, thank you for showing us that it's possible to build something meaningful professionally, even when family doesn't initially understand the sacrifices required." Cousin Sophia texted. "Seeing your name in fireworks was inspirational for everyone in our generation who's trying to balance family expectations with career ambitions." 6 months later, the Times Square executive producer credit had opened exactly the career doors I'd hoped for. I was hired as senior vice president of production for a major entertainment company, with responsibility for managing television specials, award shows, and international events that reached audiences of millions. My salary increased by 85%. My professional network expanded to include industry leaders I'd never had access to previously, and my reputation as an event producer was established permanently through the most visible credit possible in the entertainment industry. but more importantly, my family's understanding of professional commitment and career development had evolved fundamentally. Instead of viewing work obligations as competition with family relationships, they began to understand professional advancement as an extension of the work ethic and achievement orientation they had instilled in all their children. Jessica, we've learned that supporting your dreams means understanding that your path might look different from what we expected, Mom said during a family dinner 6 months after the Times Square production. We're proud of what you've built, and we're sorry it took fireworks over Manhattan for us to see the significance of your work. The conversation that followed was the most honest we'd ever had about balancing family relationships with professional ambitions. My parents acknowledged that their expectations had been based on their own career experiences rather than understanding of the entertainment industry's demands and opportunities. We measured commitment by physical presence at celebrations, rather than by the sacrifices you were making to build something meaningful professionally, Dad admitted. That was unfair and short-sighted. Most importantly, we established new traditions that honored both family relationships and professional obligations. Holiday celebrations were restructured to accommodate family members' work commitments, and professional achievements were celebrated with the same enthusiasm as personal milestones. The Christmas I Missed to Produce Times Square New Year's Eve became a story our family tells proudly rather than a source of ongoing conflict about priorities and values. If you've made it this far, drop fireworks in the comments soon. If you understand that sometimes the biggest risks lead to the most spectacular rewards. The lesson I learned from missing Christmas to produce the Times Square New Year's Eve celebration wasn't about career versus family or professional ambition versus personal relationships. It was about the difference between seeking permission for your dreams and demanding recognition through undeniable achievement. For years, I'd tried to help my family understand the significance of various professional opportunities and the sacrifices required to build something meaningful in the entertainment industry. But understanding requires shared experience or context that allows people to appreciate achievements in fields they haven't been exposed to. My family couldn't appreciate event production careers because they had no framework for evaluating entertainment industry success or understanding the competitive dynamics that make certain opportunities uniquely valuable. The fireworks display didn't change the work I'd been doing or the skills I'd been developing. But it provided recognition in a context that was universally understood. Having your name blazing across the Manhattan skyline in front of millions of people is unambiguously significant achievement. The most important realization was that seeking approval for career decisions that others don't understand can delay or prevent you from pursuing opportunities that define your entire professional trajectory. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for family relationships is to build something so undeniably meaningful that it expands their definition of what's possible and valuable. Professional success doesn't require family permission, but it can transform family understanding in ways that strengthen relationships and create new forms of mutual respect and pride. Tell me about a time when you had to choose between family expectations and a career opportunity that others couldn't see the value in. How did you handle the conflict, and what would you say to someone who's facing similar decisions about professional growth versus family obligations?